Think the hardest falls in WWE happen in the ring? Not always. In a world where even a microphone can change your fate, it's often what happens outside the ring that brings a wrestler down the fastest. A seemingly harmless mistake, a rash decision, or even just a poorly timed glance, sometimes that's all it takes to derail a career completely. Today on Wrestling Sphere, we're diving into the stories of 10 WWE wrestlers who were punished due to real-life tragedies, tales that are as heartbreaking as they are unforgettable. Number 10. Sabu, the tragedy of an untamable legend. When WWE revived the ECW brand in 2006, Sabu's name was one of the first brought back, with high hopes. Vince McMahon seemed to believe that Sabu's wild, bloody, and unpredictable style would be the perfect spice for a modern ECW. And at first, it worked. He was featured in key matches, spotlighted on major TV shows, and even pay-per-views. But problems quickly emerged. WWE didn't want Sabu to be Sabu. They insisted he follow tightly scripted matches, rehearse everything in detail, and, most controversially, cut pre-written promos on live TV. This went completely against the silent, brutal persona he had in the original ECW, where his actions spoke louder than words. Sabu proposed having a manager speak for him, a reasonable and fitting compromise. But WWE leadership, especially Stephanie McMahon, flat out rejected the idea. They wanted a more controllable version of him, something Sabu could never accept. What began as creative tension turned into visible punishment. For refusing to conform, Sabu was pulled from the Elimination Chamber match at December to Dismember, a move that outraged fans. But that was just the beginning. In the following months, he was repeatedly booked to lose on TV, a clear sign of backstage retaliation. Eventually, he was released. And before even making it to his final match, he received a heated phone call from John Laurinaitis, WWE's head of talent relations, for showing up late to a live event. It was a bitter end for a true hardcore icon, a man who refused to trade his identity just to fit into WWE's corporate mold. Number 9. Crime Time, the price of rebellion. Between 2006 and 2007, Crime Time was one of WWE's most exciting tag teams. With their street-smart swagger, comedic energy, and natural crowd appeal, JTG and Shad Gaspard quickly became fan favorites. They brought a fresh, entertaining vibe to WWE's tag division, but that momentum didn't last long. Trouble began when they got into a backstage incident involving Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch, a team that wasn't exactly in the spotlight at the time. Tensions boiled over during a non-televised house show match, where the referee made an unusually fast, unscripted 3-count, handing Crime Time an unexpected and confusing loss. The live crowd was clearly upset, booing loudly at the bizarre and abrupt finish. Frustrated, JTG and Shad went off script. After the match, they returned to the ring and hit their signature finisher, not on their opponents, but on the referee. It was a move that clearly crossed a line in WWE's tightly controlled environment. The consequences came quickly. Both were released from the company within weeks. While some insiders reportedly supported their actions as a form of protest against backstage politics, WWE had to discipline them to maintain order behind the scenes. Still, Crime Time wasn't gone for good. Less than 6 months later, they made a surprise return the night after WrestleMania 24, receiving a warm welcome from fans. They stayed together until 2010, delivering several memorable moments. As for Cade and Murdoch, the supposed beneficiaries of the incident, their team quickly disbanded, and both were released from WWE just over a year later. Number 8. Bubba Ray Dudley, one botch that killed a solo career. After years of success as one half of the legendary Dudley Boys, WWE decided to push Bubba Ray Dudley as a singles competitor following the 2002 brand split. At first, things looked promising. Bubba began working solo, briefly teamed with Spike Dudley, and eventually found himself in an unexpected feud with none other than the reigning world champion at the time, Triple H. On the September 23, 2002 episode of Monday Night Raw, Bubba was given a pivotal spot. He was supposed to slam Triple H through a table to escalate the storyline. But that moment turned out to be career-altering. As Bubba attempted the lift, his arm suddenly gave out, the result of a nerve injury in his neck that affected his strength and control. Triple H landed awkwardly and dangerously, sending shockwaves through the locker room. Though hurt, Bubba continued wrestling the following week. But the damage was done, literally and figuratively. He was quickly defeated by Triple H in a televised title match, a clear sign that WWE had pulled the plug on any major singles push. Shortly after, Bubba was removed from all solo plans and placed back into tag team action, first with Spike, and later reuniting with Devon that November. Bubba has since said he believes that botched spot with Triple H is what killed his singles run in WWE. Despite giving it his all, it seemed no one backstage saw him as a solo star after that incident. It wasn't until nearly 8 years later, under the name Bully Ray in TNA, that he finally got the chance to prove himself as a main event caliber singles competitor. Number 7. Test. When a missed flight ended a future. After years of struggling to find his place, WWE finally decided to rebrand Test and give him a rare opportunity to rise as a solo star. He debuted a new look, gone with the long locks, replaced with a cleaner, more polished style, and he started wearing trunks like most main eventers. Some even speculated that the image change was meant to reduce comparisons to Triple H, given their similar size and ring style. WWE had plans to build a feud between Test and Chris Jericho, with a climax set for No Way Out 2003, conveniently held in their shared hometown of Montreal. But fate had other plans. Just a week before the event, Test and his real-life girlfriend and on-screen manager, Stacy Keibler, were unable to make it to Raw in Columbus, Ohio due to a massive snowstorm that grounded all flights. Though clearly out of their control, Vince McMahon reportedly showed no sympathy. WWE's stance was swift and cold. Test was pulled from the storyline immediately, didn't appear on Raw, and was replaced by Jeff Hardy at No Way Out. That same night, Stacy Keibler was locked in a brutal Walls of Jericho submission by Chris Jericho, widely rumored as a not-so-subtle backstage message. From that point on, Test's push was dead. He was repeatedly booked to lose, then quietly taken off TV for a time. When he returned, WWE paired him with Scott Steiner, who himself had just failed to live up to expectations due to injuries. Test's WWE career spiraled from there, eventually ending in 2004 when he was released while recovering from a serious neck injury. Number 6. Mordecai. One headbutt that shattered a future. In 2004, WWE introduced a mysterious new character on SmackDown, Mordecai. Clad in all white, preaching divine judgment, and with a fanatical persona, he was meant to be a supernatural foil to The Undertaker. WWE had big plans for him, including potential feuds with major names like Eddie Guerrero. It was shaping up to be an epic spiritual rivalry, until everything unraveled in a single summer. In real life, Kevin Fertig, the man behind Mordecai, got into a serious altercation at a bar. While out with his wife, Fertig was approached by a stranger who allegedly made inappropriate advances toward her. When rebuffed, the man escalated the situation, and it quickly turned into a physical confrontation. Fertig reportedly head-butted the man in self-defense, causing severe facial injuries that required reconstructive surgery. The incident was too big for WWE to ignore. Mordecai was immediately pulled from all television plans, and every storyline involving the character was scrapped. Fertig was also left to cover a large portion of the civil settlement, a heavy financial blow. By 2005, WWE had released him. Though he made a quiet return in 2006 under the name Kevin Thorne in the ECW brand, his push was minor, and he never returned to Raw or SmackDown. By 2008, Fertig quietly parted ways with WWE for good. A character once filled with potential was completely derailed, all because of one moment of lost control outside the ring. Number 5. Eugene. When one incident destroyed a promising future. From the moment he debuted in WWE, Eugene, portrayed as an innocent but incredibly gifted wrestler, captured the audience's attention. What initially seemed like just a comedic gimmick quickly turned into something much bigger. Within his first year, Eugene competed in back-to-back singles matches at SummerSlam against top names like Triple H and Kurt Angle, a rare opportunity for any newcomer. But that promising push came to a sudden halt after just 1 year. In late 2005, while touring Europe with WWE, Eugene was found unconscious in a hotel lobby. He was rushed to a hospital, and news of the incident quickly spread backstage. The situation became even more serious because it occurred shortly after the tragic death of Eddie Guerrero, an event that had already put WWE under heavy media scrutiny regarding health and substance issues. In response, Eugene was immediately suspended and ordered to enter rehab per company policy. Though he eventually returned to the ring, It was clear that his momentum and status had vanished. Once a featured performer wrestling legends, Eugene was now relegated to enhancement matches or comedy segments. In 2007, he was officially released by WWE for violating the company's wellness policy, marking the end of a career that could have been far more successful if not for that devastating setback. Number 4. Renee Dri, chosen by the crowd, ignored by the company. In WWE history, there have been several cases where a wrestler organically won over the crowd, only to be ignored by the company because they weren't part of the planned narrative. One of the clearest examples of this was Renee Dri in 2004. At the time, Dri had just split from La Resistance and started a solo run on SmackDown. WWE positioned him as an arrogant heel, setting him up in a feud with a rising John Cena. But after their rivalry ended, Dri unexpectedly began receiving strong crowd support, all thanks to his goofy but entertaining French tickler dance. At SummerSlam 2004, during the opening match, the crowd erupted when Dri performed the dance. For a heel to get cheered like that, it was a sign he could be turning into a fan favorite, but WWE didn't see it that way. Backstage, instead of praise, Dri was met with harsh criticism from longtime producers Michael Hayes and John Laurinaitis. They scolded him for playing the wrong role, insisting that a heel shouldn't be doing anything to gain the audience's approval. Renee later recalled this experience on his podcast, calling it the moment everything fell apart. Shortly after, WWE scrapped all solo plans for him. He was paired with Kenzo Suzuki in a bizarre tag team that lacked chemistry. Though they briefly held the tag titles, Dupri's momentum as a rising single star had been completely derailed. Number 3. Enzo Amore, a painful lesson over a single fart. In the high-stakes world of WWE, where every word and action can shape your future, even the smallest misstep can lead to major consequences. Just ask Enzo Amore, who learned this the hard way during his early days in NXT. As a rookie, Enzo participated in promo class, a training session where talent practiced their mic skills in front of coaches, peers, and even legends. Leading the class at the time was none other than Dusty Rhodes, a promo icon and a major influence in developing future stars. During one fateful session, Enzo, known for his wild and unfiltered energy, let out a loud fart in the middle of the room, right in front of Dusty and everyone else. What seemed like an immature joke instantly backfired. Dusty wasn't just annoyed, he was furious. Not because of the act itself, but because it showed a complete lack of respect in a professional setting. As a result, Enzo was quietly punished with a long losing streak in NXT, a clear message from the coaches: if you want respect, you have to show it first. Rumor has it the original punishment was supposed to be worse, but Dusty eventually decided to go easier on him. Despite the rough start, Enzo didn't give up. He gradually rebuilt his standing, and alongside Big Cass, became part of one of the most popular tag teams in NXT at the time, paving the way for a strong debut on the main roster with a massive fan following. Still, it's safe to say Enzo never forgot that bizarre, yet costly lesson. Number 2. Husky Harris, cut from TV, but found his true self. Not every fall is the end. Sometimes, being pulled from the spotlight is the best thing that can happen. That was exactly the case for Husky Harris, better known today as Wyndham Rotunda, a shining example of rebirth after failure. In 2010, WWE was entering what many considered a bland era, with shallow characters and uninspired storylines. Harris debuted during the game show version of NXT, which leaned more toward reality TV than wrestling. He failed to stand out, partly because the character lacked substance, and more importantly, because it didn't reflect who Wyndham truly was. Still, he was promoted to the main roster as part of the second generation of the Nexus. But again, something felt off. Then came the turning point. During a televised match with John Cena, Husky accidentally poked Cena in the eye, a move that wasn't part of the script. The incident angered both Cena and Vince McMahon. Immediately after the match, Husky was pulled from the main roster and sent back down to NXT, a move that, at the time, seemed like the end of his WWE future. But that setback turned out to be his greatest opportunity. Away from the spotlight, Wyndham rediscovered himself. He returned completely transformed, introducing the world to Bray Wyatt, a dark, cult-like leader with depth, mystique, and charisma. When he re-emerged on the main roster 2.5 years later, he earned critical acclaim and fan admiration, something Husky Harris had never achieved. Number 1. Mr. Kennedy. When everything seemed ready, bad luck struck. During his first 2 years in WWE, Mr. Kennedy was seen as one of the company's brightest young stars. With his signature promo style, powerful voice, and undeniable charisma, he quickly won over both the fans and WWE management. That momentum led to him being selected for one of the biggest storylines of 2007. He was set to be revealed as Vince McMahon's illegitimate son. But that high-profile storyline never got the chance to unfold. Just before it began, Kennedy was suspended for violating WWE's newly tightened wellness policy, a policy made stricter in the wake of the tragic Chris Benoit incident that shook the entire wrestling world. To explain Kennedy's sudden absence, WWE scrambled to rewrite the angle, revealing that he was just an imposter trying to scam the McMahon family. Vince himself suspended him in the storyline. That one misstep completely derailed Kennedy's rise. To make matters worse, he suffered a serious injury shortly after, causing him to miss nearly all of 2008. When he finally returned in 2009, there was cautious hope for a comeback, but disaster struck again. In his first match back, Kennedy botched a move that caused Randy Orton to tweak his shoulder. Backstage chaos followed. Not only was Orton upset, but John Cena was also reportedly vocal about his frustration. Just days later, WWE released Kennedy. It's worth noting this wasn't the first time Kennedy had been blamed for an in-ring mistake involving Cena. On top of that, his controversial comments on Fox News following the Benoit tragedy had already rubbed some people in WWE the wrong way. All of it, the injuries, the missteps, and the growing backstage tensions, painted a bleak picture for his future in the company. Whether it was personal error, bad timing, or locker room politics, fans can't help but wonder, what if one of those major pushes had actually gone through? That question remains unanswered, and a reminder of just how fragile momentum can be in WWE. Thank you for watching until the end of the video. If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss new content from Wrestling Sphere, where we uncover the hidden side of WWE.